So yes, as Jeff, what we talked about, it's essentially the Haiti is not easiest place to work, just no question about it. But there are ways to get things done. So not only we're going to give you an update about how the earthquake and repair and things are going and how it's going as a project wise. Also, we want to kind of discuss through about how we actually get things done during this very unstable time in the Haitian history. So earthquake was the August 14th. It's magnitude 7.2. It's not small, about 10K deep. So which means a fairly shallow earthquake, which means shallow earthquake means the ground acceleration or intensity is pretty high. And about 2,200 victims be confirmed about first week of the Haiti, of the event. But Gillian, I think that I might just say that this is a complete understatement by the government.
Yeah, we believe it is.
Yeah,
it is an understatement.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It was right. The rumor is because of right after the presidential assassination in June. So they want to be shown as too much unstableness, so they stop count on that. And the USGS pager, it's a forecast. Usually they do right after the event happens like this one, and they forecast about 10,000 fatalities, and they don't usually miss. They're usually very accurate, and this is a pretty particular case here. And about 800,000 to 1 million people affected in a high ground acceleration area. An estimation by the government and the World Bank and UN is about 130,000 buildings that simply damaged. And right after, like a few days after, there's Hurricane Grace hit the island. And again, I saw some of the actually at the buildings, which don't be damaged by the earthquake, but also hurricane right after. I mean, it's pretty bad, That's horrible. And security constraint caused by gangs. So what do you think, Gillian? I mean, how do you see that this is a security thing? I mean, it's pretty tight, right now, we actually stopped the operation for 2 weeks because of lack of fuel, which is stopped by the gang groups, right? What do you think, Gillian?
Yes, we had to stop because we couldn't have access to fuel to actually move the teams around. In the meantime, the government had an agreement with the Dominican government who actually delivers fuel, but not in the capital, but outside the capital. Now they're doing the north and they did the south first. So now I was just talking to Mark, and we have an extra truck in front of the UNOPS that we don't know what to do with. So now the south has fuel, the capital does not. And we are surrounded by gangs that are either kidnapping the trucks and reselling the trucks on the black market, the fuel on the black market. And that is the situation right now. I was just telling the driver, Sony, so I said, how long am I going to last this week? Because I had a friend who was able to get me some diesel, and I've been calling around, but Port-au-Prince has no fuel. But the south and the north, they have fuel. So we'll be fine next week.
Yeah, so basically, normal people have access to fuel too, like a motor, trucks, cars. That's good.
They did some little distribution last week during the weekend. I know because across my house there's a gas station, and you can't even access my house because there was so much traffic. But you can't, if you don't sleep there, you're on a motorcycle, you don't get fuel. So that's the situation right now.
So how we are providing the security to you and to us, to me, what a situation like that? How we go about it?
Well, we get kit arriving at the international airport, and then we get kit the same day kicked out of the international airport and goes to the national airport and send him to the south. I assure my security by myself. We know a little bit of what to do. The gang have not been pushing a lot in where we are at the office, but today they have decided to attack the National Palace. So now I have the National Palace under attack.
What are you going to attack on? It's a robber.
No, but that's where the prime minister and everybody of the government is. So the gang, the G9, as they call themselves, have decided today they are attacking so that the prime minister leaves. So now I'll find out later after the call what happens.
Oh God, that's incredible. But yeah, so essentially, unfortunately, unfortunate, but earthquake was in the south components, which you can see in a little orange part of it on the map. So that's gang activities in the capital. So that's why the operation actually did, very controlled. It's actually safe place. South is beautiful though. I mean, it's something like you may see sometimes pictures in old pictures in Haiti. It's very romantic, beautiful, beautiful places, beautiful jungles and mountains and the beaches, and the people are really nice. I mean, relax. It's just very different from Port-au-Prince, Haiti. I know for sure. So that's basically what we're doing there. But meantime, if I was in that, what Glenn and I when I driving around the Port-au-Prince nowadays, we don't use the brand new. We have a brand new trucks, by the way, Mazda, for we drive, but we don't use it anymore. We use the 10 years old, 150,000 miles, 200,000 kilometers, bump, crack the windshield, truck. So, keep low profile as much as possible if we happen to be in that.
Definitely.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so this is a map composed by USGS showing the scale of the intensity. So you can see the quite bit of this area is a violent or extreme intensity they felt, even when it was magnitude 7.2. Just looking around the area, it's definitely the so-called peak ground acceleration. Some of engines understand. It's definitely exceeding 50% or more for many different areas. Just looking at. And this is the map we used initially to kind of see that what's the overall damage could like. And this is actually the NASA JPL, and it's a collaboration with the Seismic Safety Commission of California, which I'm chair of. We've been working with them for a while to actually measure these building movement before and after the earthquake. Because every 9 hours, NASA satellite go over the every parts of Earth currently. So they're taking the pictures before and after. Yeah, they actually overlay the map or overlay the satellite image, and you can measure the building movement or object movement. So from there, be able to figure it out which potentially damaged buildings or area exist. So you're seeing a whole bunch of red dots. That's where the supposed to be damaged or happening. And this is the landslide. Was using the same technology to understand what the landslide could be. So Gillian, this is I think that's about right, isn't it? This is where the highway to the Jeremy going up. There's a whole bunch of landslides also up there.
Yeah, exactly. That's where they had said that two mountains join each other.
Yeah. So that's So this So that's kind of accurately articulated. This one I wasn't sure, especially a lot of dots I saw down the on east side. Is that Akin is? Is that why? Because Akin there's quite a bit of damage.
Akin is down. Me and I, you and I, and maps. You don't like my cute maps.
Yeah. So this is I wasn't sure exactly why there's so many dots down there. You know what I mean? Yeah. Anyway, this is one of those tools we use in our initial days to kind of understand the potential damage, maybe like from the ground acceleration map from the USGS, the JPL, and that's a map. So Laka is this is the I guess kind of capital of those south in a sense. It's an ancient town, and population of about what is it? How big town is it? 300,000 people, maybe look like.
Not much.
Yeah, it's a fairly small town, but it's a bigger town area. It's fairly close to epicenter because Laka is straight right next to the ocean, and most of the land is the sandy land there. So then the liquefaction damage was pretty incredible actually. And the minimal building types in downtown is a colonial building like this one, made of essentially the unreinforced masonry or rock structures like this. Fairly thick wall, but it just still not quite works out so well if it's not reinforced. And this is the what is this like it's cathedral?
The cathedral, yes.
Yeah. This is the first red tag, by the way, by the public works coming through pretty quickly in the first initial days. And unfortunately, many of our buildings red tag, some of our organizations, including the government and also some of the NGOs, start taking down those damaged buildings because they say it's a red tag. Well, in many cases, the red tag is actually not red tag for this particular cathedral. Actually, it's the yellow tag after we assess through more details. And many red tags can be repaired and strengthening. So that's actually one of the things we see often in countries where after earthquake happens, and there's a quite bit of a quick so-called demolitions that are happening. Demolition is important for the dangerous buildings, but some of the repairable buildings to be demo, its problem is that it takes long time to reconstruct. For example, in Haiti, since there's no much of a media attention to this earthquake, there is no really big funding following to it. So it's definitely very important to repair the structure. That's much cheaper than reconstruct. I think that's a really critical thing. Just like again, I was talking about National Palace, right? I mean, we propose to repair and strengthen the thing, and we come up to all the technical ideas and everything, right? All right. So yes, there's a lot of damage like that. A lot of this heritage building collapsed, and it's what we call out of plane motion, just fell that all the bricks outward. It's one of those examples. Into walls. Reinforced concrete structures. Here's that the engineers can see this. It's a non-ductile concrete, right? There's no confinement or there's no, engagement of this high reinforcement. So obviously you have a very drastic failure like that. I mean, this is amazing. It's still standing, actually. Must be pretty strong slab. Just up sit in the air like that. But I would say new construction, if you look at the new ones though, currently constructed, like I know anywhere in Haiti, actually, they actually do follow, most of the time you see, is the so-called international standard up there. And one of our clinic sites, hospital sites, I was visiting a while back, and they're adding some structures to it. They're using the actual, this international standard, for the reinforcement of a rebar of a concrete structure. And they told me, they learned this from just a trading school nearby, how to be a mason. So it's definitely I think things have completely changed, from 2009 before the earthquake, because it's such a massive amount of campaign of training. And not only the masons, but also the homeowners, in a massive scale. Our company alone, it was about 7,000 masons and 700 engineers and probably 10 to 20,000 homeowners. I think our company alone, there's many people that, so it's definitely that the completely different stories going on out there about new construction is concerned. But it's obviously there's most of our buildings are all stock, obviously. So therefore that the risk profile still remains. So that's why you see things like this a lot. But there was a US aid program, and we assessed about 100 masons or something like that randomly, and their capacity and knowledge. And what is it? It was an 80% passing rate for their knowledge level.
And young ones, they did not go through the program.
Yeah.
They learn. I think the older one teach them or they learn on the ground.
Yeah.
They would do well.
That's actually it's so true. I mean, essentially out of 100 masons we tested, only I think 30 of them participate in one of those programs in 2010, 11, 12. Rest of a new generation of masons, which their norm is built per so-called international norm. So that's something that's a huge, I think, difference over what happened. So, we do hear that the Haiti is always a waste of money and, bad stuff happens. And it's true. But first is that resiliency components about what we were able to do. I think we made a huge impact. There's no question about that. It's a small part of it, though, a small part of a whole kind of social normalness. But I think we were able to impact that. Don't you think, John?
Yes, and I believe that what we did recently with the USAID program to actually train the municipal engineers, that body that the Minister of Interior created. So those engineers will be directly in those communes and actually doing their training of the communities and actually verifying what needs to be done and done the right way. I think that's going to have a lot of impact around the country itself because we've trained a lot of them and they're everywhere in Haiti. So, and we even have some that we met in the South when we went to assess and we did some assessments with them so they could actually see what happened when it's not done correctly. So yes, there are a lot of bad things, let's be honest, but there are a lot of things that are good that are not promoted enough, maybe. Yes.
Yeah. And I mean, Haiti also does have a big in investment, not right now because such an unstable condition happening, but there was a huge hotels and resorts and
Yes.
office buildings and high-rise condo was started building. And I don't know what percentage of it, almost all of them, I would say that at least for the brands, they come to us. They're essentially
Always.
the quality control of
Always.
constructions and engineering, you
Now the
know.
one in the north, the Marriott courtyard is going to be all us, design and
Oh,
everything.
oh, they're
So
gonna do that.
yeah,
Uh,
that's the back and forth.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's I mean, Haiti really does not, I mean, the Haiti government doesn't have no money to enforce any kind of quality or anything like that, but it's almost like those investors, they understand that how important the resiliency and the quality construction is. So they actually come to us, come to Miyamoto, Haiti, or basically, it's essentially acting as like a volunteering privately funded building, department agency almost.
And also with the doing the new year legislation so that the Ministry of Public Works will be in charge of what, like in the States, to have the final inspections, but for the continuous inspection and quality control, they're pushing to identify some companies to actually do that. So
Yeah.
whenever I have a parliament or whatever, that would be passing through, and we will be pushing this and promoting it so that quality control does happen and is done by private sector.
Yeah. So that this patch of soil you're looking here is a soil, essentially the liquefied soil kind of essentially pressure out the outward. That's what's going on. So this is caused by the liquefaction soil. I mean, liquefaction itself did not really kill people because of the just whacked up a little bit or slab was left up. But it's definitely in many cases buildings not repairable, especially this case like this one here. By the way, the liquefaction did kill people though in a Palu earthquake in Indonesia where the mark was there too. It's actually liquefaction is moving a horizontal way in a very rapid velocity. And we went to town where the whole town be swallowed by this liquefied soil completely, hundreds of houses essentially. But that's extremely rare condition like that. But usually liquefaction is not lethal. It's also caused by liquefaction. And this picture doesn't show so much, but there's actually a big heave in the slab because of caused by liquefaction again. Well, again, repair is not very difficult. Remove this slab and level the soil with the gravel and put back the new slab grade again and make it flat. There's a lot of deterioration like this though. There's something true in the Port-au-Prince too. Probably in the Port-au-Prince earthquake, out of about 430,000 buildings were assessed, at least like a 30% of them has this kind of rust and all that stuff happening. Oh, this was my favorite resort, Il Bash. Lost the some of the apartments there. Actually, I did volunteer to go. Julia and I, myself, who just went there with the Beverly to actually assess those apartments at this island. It's a beautiful place though, absolutely beautiful. But it's Haiti being beaten up for a long time. I mean, this is an island called Il Bash. It's outside southern, really like the most southern part of Haiti. It's absolutely beautiful place. It's about 30 minutes, boat ride, fisherman boat ride from Lakai to this place. And it used to be, a lot of people went down all the time, packed by the Haitian, private sectors and people, come down to sail those places. But just completely empty. It's because one is it was Hurricane Thomas. What was the hurricane 2 years ago? Which hit? Huh? Matthew. Yeah, I got that. Every 3 years you get a big hurricane, so I forgot about it. It's Matthew. Yeah, Matthew really killed this whole island in the southern part of it. So since that, these hotels and resorts have not even opened yet. And on top of this, obviously this recent gang activities just make it impossible. And now this earthquake, it's just the tragedy, I might say. Hospitals. Interesting about the hospitals is the MBT PTs that Public Works did assessment rapidly in the first couple of weeks. And I thought they did a good job though. I thought that especially like a large hospitals, they yellow tag certain areas being damaged, so no entry, limited entry, but they left that other parts of it so hospital can be operational and so on, So these assessment, I think they did a very, very good job. That's something that we worked on with MT, the Haitian Public Works for many years in initial years. You want to talk something about this a little bit, Gillian, about hospital?
Exactly.
Yeah. Hmm?
We did a lot of assessment in the South, and what's happening more and more is that all the NGOs know that we're doing a lot of things. So we're receiving a lot of calls because none of them have money, by the way, but everybody wants their hospitals because I have Doctors Without Borders. They need us to do assessments of some of the hospitals that they use and a lot of other things that is happening right now. So I think in the South, we're gonna have to think a little bit about the new strategy on how to do. But I was surprised at the hospital, the general hospital, because it was, when I was there with you, there was a space that was blocked and red in bad shape, and everybody was respecting that. I was a little surprised because in Haiti in 2010, even if it was red, sometimes they go in and stay.
Yeah.
This, I don't know if the communication was done better by the public works engineer at the time, but they understood that it was dangerous, and as much as doctors as patients, they kept out of those spaces. So
You're
I
right.
was really, yeah, I was a
Yeah,
little surprised. So
you're right.
communication is better. So I think the engineer understood more and were able to apply a lot of the things that we've been repeating and repeating and repeating.
Yeah, yeah, it's so true. Yeah, this is school sites I was talking about. Just red tag, just completely gone. Now they're gonna sit. They will probably receive the so-called plywood made temporary school, which actually we actually do engineering right now for that for Ministry of Education and assessing those quantity of it. But it's going to be like that for many years to come. Once the building come down, it's going to be like that. If it's not 5 years, 10 years, who knows? We just lost forever. Jeremy is up in just it's a beautiful heritage town in northern section of the south. It's a lot of this heritage buildings like this. They just lost a lot of them. This one bridge is the we actually partner with a non-profit organization called the World Central Kitchen. Yeah, and you may know that a chef named Jose Andres, and he has this non-profit, and actually started in Haiti about same time as 2010, when we were there actually, and that they actually respond nowadays about 150 disasters globally. It's pretty amazing. And when they're like a true first responders, they show up like faster than the urban search and rescue team, and they start cooking the meal as soon as they landed. And they're actually, when I was there, they're doing almost like 20,000 meals for the people who lost their homes or hospitals a day. It's incredible. And this is one of the bridge, Jose, let us take a look. And it's because he got a whole bunch of supply going back and forth. And this is an important bridge by the Jeremy. There's only one actually. Otherwise, there's no access to this town. And you can see that the three vertical, the vertical cable snapped. Yeah. So as you can see, engineers, right? You can see how dangerous this condition is. You can see the amount of stress of this most external one, next to the snap-on taking it, maybe 3 to 4 times more than what's been designed for. And problem is that once those can snap, it will snap throughout. It will have a probably cascade kind of effect. So this is extremely dangerous. It's being used still, but when we saw this thing, we tried to limit the traffic. And I think they're kind of doing something like that, right? They're not definitely not using the cars anymore, of course I know. No. And so with that Jose's World Central Kitchen, they actually going to donate the materials and labors to repair this thing. And we're processed to get the approval from Haitian Public Works. Did you get approval yet, Joe?
I didn't get the approval yet.
Huh?
No.
Why not?
Because the minister wants to go too high, so I told him to come down.
Okay.
He wants to go to the prime minister. It's not something that the prime minister gets involved in. This could have been signed at the lowest level with me and somebody else. So that's what I'm trying to push. I'm going there tomorrow.
Yeah, I think that's important because I think that otherwise this could collapse. Like I wouldn't be surprised this to just snap right now.
Please don't say that because that's the only way. That's how we all guys cross to go to Jeremy to actually do assessments.
We better fix the thing fast as
That's
possible.
the only way.
Yeah.
We're
I mean,
very-
we actually engineered a solution to so-called temporary repair and shoring. It's everything's there, and
and the budget is there.
budget is there, money is there,
Everything there.
but there is actually.
I think the minister just wants to look, he wants to show that he's doing something, but it's not big enough for the prime minister to get involved. Those prime minister gets involved when it's millions of dollars, not when it's a little 200K or less.
Yeah, this
I'm trying to have it signed at the lower level.
Yeah, no, this is definitely rapid, small repair,
Yeah.
temporary shoring almost essentially. That's what
Exactly.
they do here. Yeah. All right. Again, it's pretty close to the epicenter. So this is two-story buildings. As you can see, anything built prior to 2010 is unbelievably dangerous. It's a collapse. Yeah, I can definitely see the impact. Value is much higher than what's being talked about. All the churches collapse through. And epicenter area, it's a school. And earthquakes unfortunately happened at 8:30 on Saturday morning, so there was no school session was there. But if the school was in session, as was in 2010 event, this could have killed the hundreds, if it's not thousands of students. So it's definitely the disorder. School stocks are very dangerous out there. This school too. It's a URM, downhill mainstream, just kind of fall outward. That's what you see here. This is again same thing. Actually, at the epicenter area, I went through that area and I did not really see that survive this two multi-story concrete structures. So almost all of them essentially painted. This is actually a very interesting picture. Back when Nissan truck, you see it's a Haitian traditional houses in the area. It's made of the unreinforced masonry rocks, and actually wood. And it's actually performed differently, much better than the modern, say, reinforced concrete structures. And let me say why. So you can see the kind of rocks fall. But you see the building hasn't collapsed yet, and there's some obviously collapsed buildings, but it's fairly rare when I saw that actually total collapse one. Usually, you see like this. There's a wall, obviously, so fall outside or inward. The reason is actually you see it's like this, all over the places actually. The reason is it's actually way it's built. It's a traditional build, but it's very ingenious way. There's a concrete group on the wood and also side too. There's the actually cut, so there's a cohesive integrity in the system in a sense. It's almost built like a Japanese ancient shrine built this way, no nails, just a concrete group construction. So what happened is the earthquake comes with things that moves a lot, but first what happened is the acceleration of the building itself take down all the rocks. Rocks could fall, almost shed off the whole thing. So there's no weights there. Then the things become very flexible. So therefore the fairly flexible building, the mountainside, the mountain has a fairly steep soil. So that at the point, this building does not resonate from the earthquake movement at all whatsoever, which is a fairly sharp motion going on. It does not. So that's why that those buildings, many buildings do survive. But obviously the danger is if the rocks fall off, what's going to happen? We have a certain solution to that. I'm going to discuss it a little bit later. So there's thousands of buildings damaged in the area, the widespread area. And I mean, that's pretty sad. It's last time there's a lot of media attention. So there's like right after the 2010, almost like $11 billion committed to reconstruction. And probably half of it show up. It's still a lot of money. This time, $0 committed, as far as I know. I mean, US government spent about 22 to 30 mil, somewhere in the range, and smaller chunks like that, but it's not like that last time. Isn't it, Gillian?
Yeah, they were not very involved. They were more involved in support, bringing food, those type of support, but not actually doing anything regarding the repairs or those type of, no. And the government this time says he does not want tents. So they were not able to send tents on those area because in 2010, the tent cities were a disaster. So the government, as soon as the earthquake happened, he told all the donors, we do not want nor accept any tents, and everything has to go through the government. So no tents were delivered, which I think personally is a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Yeah,
possible, you
we
know.
found a lot of that in
Yeah,
2010.
yeah, yeah. So it's about challenge here now is there's no money, but we have a limited funded here, and how going to go about it. So since we cannot fix hundreds, tens of thousands of houses immediately, I think best next thing would be get the information out. Information that will not only damage assessment from red tag, yellow tag, green tag of each houses or building, but also the how to repair it and how much the cost to repair it. So those information at least exist. So therefore, that if there is any money raised or some certain entity coming through, or even the funding privately from a Haitian diaspora, which I think is really important, I believe, then the houses in the villages and towns can be repaired and strengthened. So that's the whole philosophy here. So MTPTC, Haitian Public Works, and collaboration with our company and the UNOPS, United Nations Office of Project Services, so far trained about what, 500 engineers?
Yep.
Maybe a little more, 500
Yep.
engineers. Yeah, for both damage assessment per ATC 20 protocol and also the repair methodologies, which we built back in 2010. And but this time we made a little more high-tech.
And we're going to do more training in the NIP very soon.
I see.
Because the decision is to use the engineers that are in the community so that we don't bring in everybody from the capital, so that the community benefits from the training and it actually the knowledge stays there. So the engineers are capable with the municipality to actually do the repairs and to do the supervision on the sites.
Yeah. So where the supervision worked out here for this particular assessment is a pretty intense. I mean, this is something all of us worked pretty hard for since August, actually. So there's about 500 engineers. We had about 15 different divisions. Some are financed by the World Bank, which is the UNOPS on that. And some is financed by the OEM, is the, what's OEM stands for? The
IOM.
IOM.
It's immigration.
Yeah,
and
it's a UN agency.
yeah.
And also Swiss agency for Pagode, I think it's there. So there's but it's our responsibility to basically to make sure the operational components and the quality control is done right. So you can see that divisions has about 28 total staff, about 18 to 19 engineers. That's assessment assessor, team leader. And also there are 8-9 social communicator who actually communicate the findings to the homeowners. So that's how division set up like that. And each of our division is overseen by our division engineer WICO. That's where you say engineer divisionaire. Yeah, that's division engineer. That's actually Miyamoto Haitian engineer. And there's after there's the department engineer. There's Jack and Nazia, and also the Cody. Those are they're the department engineers who oversee about 6 different divisions each. And over that, there's a regional engineer, that's Beverly. There's an expert international, that's the right now Mark and Julia. And that's what the whole organizational structure look like that. So I think that the biggest difference between the last time and this time is the Haitian managed and Haitian led. I think that's a huge difference. Last time we had probably maybe 20 different internationals at any given moment, right? Today, essentially 2. We're doing this operation. That's what to me, that evidence about advancement of Haiti capacity, people capacity, and how actually at the MGPTC at Public Works, immediately start working on make a road open from the landslides and damage assessment, stuff like that. Start doing it without anything, anyone's, any money. So I think that's something that's a huge difference from last time, this time. Don't you think, Glenn? What do you think, Glenn, of that statement?
My internet is unstable, but if you hear me, I'm sorry.
We hear you now. Go ahead.
One of the things I wanted to say is that it shows that not only that we have the trust of the government at the public works level, because as soon as this happens, they call us or we reach out and they says, yes, do the training. And it also shows that what the knowledge transfer that Miyamoto has been doing for about 10 years now, because we didn't only train the engineers on the site on 2010, we continue doing the training when we actually are on site and doing CA or supervision. We actually continue to train people. And all those engineers, we continue to do the training of trainers and continue to train them. And it shows that they have learned the lessons and they are capable to take over and to make the change that is needed, at least structurally, okay? And this type of housing and better and safer buildings that we as Miyamoto, we have shown that we have done more than a lot of others, and we've been able to train the right people to continue the work that we've been doing. And this is something that Kit has always been saying. Haitians need to take over their own to actually continue to do the work that we've been doing. It cannot always be international to actually do it. When Kit was talking about the National Palace, I remember one guy, and that's Lon. I think we dropped Lon in that National Palace for, I don't know, a week. He was there every single day measuring and things like that. When we destroyed that building, I felt so bad just for him. But yes.
That was the last time he was there. Lon Dickerman.
That was the last time he was there. Yes, but that shows that Miyamoto International has been doing a lot of good work in Haiti, and I'm sure everywhere else, to actually train the people so that the Haitians are capable to take over and do things differently and better.
So usually the assessment team is composed of 2 engineers like this, what you're looking here, and one the gray shirt, and she or he is the social communicator or mobilizer, we call it. They make assessment, and she or he actually describe what's about. And division is moved by this kind of bus like this. The reason 28 people is we got 29 seaters there. That's why actually we made up 28 division, 28 numbers actually. And we carefully map out exactly how covered this is such a vast area. It's a very mountainous area, by the way. So it's extremely difficult to reach a certain place. It's very remote, area over Haiti. It's beautiful at the same time, but it's very remote. And each place we go, this is a part of a Lakai. We first map a place like this, see at the how assignment division, and then we define how the schedules look like and which area, and for both security and also the organization of it. And so out of 500 engineers, I think we trained, maybe what, 90%, 80% passed the examination. It's a fairly high passing rate, I think, isn't it?
That's 85. Recently, they have not been so good. Yeah.
So yeah, we have a pass and they passed and they become the part of an assessment team like this one. And let's see, you want to say something?
The Cobalt toolbox, that
Sure.
is Julia's baby. And she's been working hard with our team, Amir and everybody else to clean it up and to make it a final good tool.
Yeah. I see that the Mark Broughton reporting from Haiti, Lakai actually. How's it going, Mark?
Pretty good. Coming to you live from the UNOPS shoebox.
Mark,
Going
you're
well.
not here. I only left you for 2 weeks. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, it fits in a little better.
Okay.
You're looking good in a bear there, buddy. Okay, Mark, you want to talk about this a little bit about assessment, what we do on the COBOL, since you're call.
Sure. So, just to kind of give a little bit of background on what this is, essentially, COBO is a humanitarian database. I think it was originally set up by the UN, or funded by that. It's a lot of non-profit disaster response platforms are based on this. So you configure standardized questionnaires, and they're pretty flexible in terms of what you can collect and in terms of kind of auditing components there. And everything's GIS tagged. So you input all the data, standard questionnaire, kind of gets uploaded. You can work online or offline. It gets uploaded to the database, and kind of see some sample questions here. Input your answers. And then you review them, and then at the end, you sort of select update it, upload it, or finalize it, and then you move on. And so here we got the standard repairs that we've used. And these repairs are essentially the same as back in 2010. There's a little bit of evolution that took place. And there's also some work done on kind of logics for quantifying materials. But the types of damages that we're seeing are very similar in a lot of respects, with the exception of the different type of building typologies like Kit was touching on earlier, like traditional houses, these sort of kind of more remote rural buildings typologies. So here's an example, one of the spreadsheets where it looks like it's a wall replacement example. So in the field, they gather kind of key parameters. Those are input into COBO. Then there's some magic math that Amir and Sajid, the teams are working on behind the scenes to get that all to actually function. So we take the data, it's out exported from COBO, it gets manipulated within the ArcGIS platform, and then out the other end, we're able to correlate in these values or calculate these values based on the field inputs.
This one is actually pretty interesting stuff, you know. Julia, are you in the call? Maybe not. Anyway, so this is actually the traditional house things we're talking about. So you remember, you know, our discovery is for traditional houses, you know, perform good, right? Which means there's not much craft going on. But obviously, if the rock walls are falling all over the places, it's very dangerous, especially if you're sleeping. So, but as long as it doesn't collapse, doesn't kill people. So the question is how we can make it a little safer, but there's so limited amount of money or materials out there. There's no cement or nothing like that, especially in the mountains. So they're gonna build back in the same way. But our plan right now is applying this piece, but kind of a horizontal darts elements every so often. So if the rocks start falling, it will prevent falling to the inside rather than go outside. That's the whole concept here. So this is something that we've been working with the IFRC and others, and also some experts from the Romania to basically come up with some ideas there. This is going to be part of are we put on a part of a couple things yet, Mark, or about to?
The quantifying for these hasn't been put in the COBO. Just a little bit more on these it's really an interesting building technique. So all the materials for this are essentially found locally in these villages. So all the wood elements you see, those are like hand sawn wood. It's not like from a sawmill. They hand saw everything kind of in the field. And then they mix, essentially it's a lime plaster mortar mix that they use to set the rocks. So they gather the rocks locally, and they even find the lime locally. So there's very little imported material because many of these houses are 1 hour down like the craziest rough road you could imagine, and need to be brought in on a motorcycle 1 bag at a time or something. So super traditional, really interesting construction typology that we did not see in Port-au-Prince in 2010.
And Gilena, also tell us about this termite damage and how they go about it traditionally.
In Haiti, they use rocks that are burned, crushed, and they're mixed with sour oranges, and they put it on those wooden things, and this is called why do I forget it? Oh God. Okay.
Raja, no, something like that, isn't it? Raj or something.
Whatever. There's a name and I just forgot. They used to use it at my mom's house because they used to paint the wall around the house so that the rodents and all the termites would not come in. So that's what they use, and they also do a technique that they burn on the bottom of that column in wood and on top of it so that the rodent or termites don't go into the house. So I think Mark sat down with a guy that's 102 years old, an uncle of one of our engineers who went, I don't know if Mark was there, but that went through the process with them and explained to them. But but people are getting lazy, so they don't want to burn the rock. It takes time. It's like making coal, and they have to cover the rocks and burn it so that they explode, and they give you that powder so that you can do that mix to actually paint your house so that the termites or anything else doesn't come in, doesn't eat the wood.
Yeah. Hey,
Very
by the way,
interesting.
yeah, it is interesting, you know. So we try to use that kind of traditionally available materials. If they are good, why change it? You know, which they are, yes, they have that.
And I think Colombia was helping us with this design.
Oh yeah, one's team. I think he's on the call. I think
Yeah, thank you, Juan.
they've been great help. All right, QR code. So we put the QR code for each of those houses because then at the homeowners or renters can actually download report that what Marco was talking about. So that's the information we're giving us. So that's a difference from 2010. 2010 was just marking, say MTPTC, red, yellow, green, that's it. But this time has the QR code as technical information. So when the money reach from the either overseas or Haitian diaspora or World Bank, whatever it would be, there's a means to do that. And also be able to, right now we can really assist. I think best part of it right now is to be able to aggregate the cost of total repair, maybe life in a certain area. That's something that I think is very important information. I think it's a critical information for donors and others. Don't you see it? Don't you agree? Mark, I know you're talking to the Habitat of Humanity for a little while.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So when you think back, trying to approach this from a donor or a response point of view, the question everybody always has is how much, right? And so as you take a pool of or a population of buildings, houses, whatever, having an idea of what that material need is going to be immensely helpful to be able to define scopes. And what's going to be needed, there's also supply chain issues. And when we think back to in 2010 in Port-au-Prince, or 2011, 12, 13 rebuilding, you think about just the logistics of materials and then add on the fact that this is in the south of Haiti and everything has to come down here by like one road and it's really arduous. So being able to have kind of that ability to predict and quantify these things is really critical to being able to adequately respond and efficiently respond.
So this is results look like in dashboard, and it's actually Sabhajit from our India team, and also Amir Gilani, and also Zach on the commission team help us quite a bit to actually use ArcGIS and have it actually report to set up like that. So this is 2 weeks ago, about 13,000 assessed. I don't know how many now, maybe close to 15,000, I imagine. Something on that mark.
I think we're in the low 14s, I believe.
That's it. Yeah, it's been installed for a while. So you can see it, we assessed about 14,000 so far. And so we keep tracking the per division so we can see the performance of each division. I think it's very critical. And to see the map showing you what the red, yellow, green distributions look like. Each towns. And this shows what type of occupations. So most of the, as you can see, most of the structures we assessed so far is houses and some multiple housings, commercial buildings, schools, as you can see here. And also you can see the bottom left showing what it's made of the concrete, made of steel, made of wood, as you can see down there. So most of the thing as the, what's the better arm? This is the confined masonry, I imagine.
It's on it's reinforced concrete.
Yeah, reinforced concrete.
And what is this? Down there is the repair on non-repairable.
Yes.
Yeah, so we find it's pretty interesting, isn't it? 97%. So about 20 to 30% is a red tags, but we're basically saying that 97% of total structure can be repaired so far. That's what we're talking about. What about top? What is this top?
The top says the highest bar, it says no repair necessary. The second one is repairable per the guide. And repairable but too complex, meaning you need a you need an engineer. The 943 one says not repairable, it's partially collapsed. and the 337 is not repairable to demolish, and
Yeah.
the not repairable is partially collapsed to
Yeah.
move.
This is incredible information, data we're generating here for like World Bank and in American Development Bank and other NGOs to come in through to fund the certain construction components of it. And not only that, we know the cost of it because we know the material for the aggregate condition of this thing. That's a big deal. So here's a final picture. So right now, about 44%, close to 50% is green, and about 35% is the yellow tag, about 20% is the red tag. This actually patterns we see this quite often: 50% green, 30% yellow, 20% red. This is actually almost exact same as what we saw in Port-au-Prince earthquake in 2010. It's pretty fascinating. So that's about it for us. Thank you, Glenn, Mark, and especially Mark. I know it's a surprise to you. This is something that as you can definitely jump on, talk. And so that's been unbelievable amount of work. And Mark and Julian and Beverly and all our Haitian engineers be on the field from day to day, since August, and it's incredibly hard work.
It is hard.
Exposed to weather, and obviously COVID is out there, and gas shortage, and amenity is not quite there. So it's definitely the very difficult condition. And I mean, we have incredible respect to the Guylaine and Mark and Julian and Jack and Beverly and all our engineers and our MTBC engineers out there and UNOPS partners, just incredible work out there. So
it is.
Thank you.
It's a huge job.
Yeah. Thank you so much. We have like maybe 5 minutes.
I think Jeff has a question.
Yeah, let's take some questions here if you have any.
Well, thanks, guys. Really good to see you, Mark. Come visit sometime.
I've been deported to Haiti.
Not deported. That's not a good word.
But you're doing good work, so I appreciate it.
There's a plenty of people who've been deported to Haiti, so yeah, you don't add to that, man.
I thought it was a volunteer assignment.
No, not when it comes to Mark. No.
No, he's confined.
Hey, Mark, let me ask you something. How does it compare the app that you're using over there to what we did with the iBuild here in Puerto Rico, meaning pros and cons, one versus the other?
So, good question. I mean, about a year ago or so, year and a half, we were talking about kind of the application that was used in Puerto Rico. And I mean, primary difference is that this is really just a data collecting tool, right? This is just a survey form effectively. And then you get that data and you have it in a raw database format and you kind of work with it from there. Whereas the iBuild platform was more of an app like, your banking app on your phone or whatever, where you don't just get the raw data, you get kind of prescriptive outputs, and to be able to get any kind of change, you got to involve a software program. So, in humanitarian disaster response around the world, the Kobo platform is very popular. There's another one, I can't remember the name of it. It's used commonly as well. Kobo is by far the most broadly used. I think it serves a great purpose of flexibility. It's very dynamic, very adaptable. It just collects data. That's all it does.
And also this is basically financed by the UN agency and the World Bank, right? So it has to be like an open platform like that. So it cannot be used like commercial grade, available stuff essentially. That's the problem. So Ivan, I see that Frankie Nicole. I mean, so Frank, you want to come back to Haiti like tomorrow? What's the deal there?
Yeah. Ask him.
Don't
Where
push
is he?
He's
Where is
there.
he?
I see the screen. Hiding.
He's hiding.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Frankie, I understand. Don't worry. With no pressure. No pressure.
No pressure.
No pressure. I know the country I'm living in. But we can talk.
Yeah, we can talk.
That sounds like a lot of pressure.
Nice to see you again.
Yeah.
Nice to see you again, Frankie. And thank you again for everything you did.
Yeah. That's great. Great help, by the way. So any other questions or comments from anyone? A couple of minutes, yeah.
Yeah, I have one.
That's one.
for Haiti office, how you are improving the people who has been trained? How you are controlling the transfer knowledge?
Well, the engineers that we work with, we are on the ground with them. So after the training in classroom, you know that it's like college. You go to college, you get classroom training, you get classroom, but when you go in life, you really know what to do. So when they actually do the work, we are always with them to make sure that they're doing it correctly, or if they don't understand something, we are always there to make sure that we continue with the underground training and make it happen. There's also the training that we do for the masons, and we did some testing. And there's also training we had done for the homeowners, because what we had realized is that the homeowners were paying people, but people were, excuse my French, I can't say it, screwing people. Sorry, my French. And they were stealing. Okay, so we thought we did some training for the homeowner, mostly women and their kid who stays there to make sure that the right blocks, the right material is there and nobody's stealing. It was a good experience in Port-au-Prince, and I believe we're going to be doing the similar stuff when the construction really restarts. And we'll also be there. We'll be there for a bit. We'll be there for a bit to make sure that it is done the right way. Classroom and then on the ground. That's how it has always been done.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. Any other questions, comments? I think we have one more. If that's fine. If it's not, yes, Nicole. I think Nicole has a question. Yeah, Nicole. You're on mute.
I just wondered what happens to the people now that you've done the assessments and they've been told this is what needs to be done to their buildings. What kind of help are they getting?
I would say we're not there yet. Some of them are receiving money from the diaspora, and that's what Kit was talking about with the QR code that would give them exactly what they need and how much money would they need, and they can reach out to their family. For the moment, international donors are looking at, not a lot of them, maybe two, are looking at doing, first of all, repair of schools first, and then I don't believe there's something in the pipeline for residents. I believe it would have to be private. The diaspora would be supporting, and anyway, Haitians, we rebuild by ourselves. So it will be done by ourselves. At least they'll have the knowledge to do it correctly this time.
Yeah, I think one of the next campaign we're going to do a massive training for the local masons and contractors and stuff like that. That'd be something we got to do. That's the next things we're going to try to get funded, I think. Anything else? Anyone else?
I had a question, Kit. Oh,
I think Carl got something. Yeah, Carl, go ahead.
How is the situation now? I know before, like, COVID was a big thing. So after the earthquake, how did COVID progress in the area? How were you able to work with that situation? And with all of the kidnappings and the things that's happening, are you avoiding certain areas? And how are you, like, that you cannot access, or how are you dealing with it? That's just.
Well, personally, I got double shot of Johnson & Johnson and a triple, maybe that really helped. Triple shot resin. Ghislain, you want to say something?
I believe you guys need to understand that the gang and the worst things happening are happening in the capital. There are some gangs in the south, but not what is happening in the capital. So we have not had any real security issue except for the gas situation, that people were really doing demonstration and stuff like that, but they were not attacking people. So the team has been working normally. Now, as for COVID, Haitians don't believe there is COVID. So Haitians don't believe there's COVID in Haiti. And the numbers are very low. And even if there was COVID, you wouldn't know. People in the street don't wear masks. Not that that's not something we're promoting, because in our program, we do have to wear the mask at the UNOPS and everything else. But the government has been saying that the COVID, there's a new strain that may hit us this month or in December. But to be honest, Haiti has not had that much COVID cases dying and things like that, except in the early beginning.
Okay, no, thank you.
I think a lot of with the age of a population too. You know, Haiti has a very young population. The average age like 25 or something like that, right? Something very young, and that really helpful. And everybody kind of outside living, you know, also that helpful too. Things like that, you know. Okay, anyone else? I think you had a question, son?
Yeah, little one. Could you share the slides with us? Because
course.
we are preparing documents about this kind of things in other countries. We need these photos.
Yeah, no problems. We'll send you all.
Please.
Yep. Okay. I guess that's it. If you have any kind of questions, comments, Father, just either contact me or Dylan or Mark or Julia. We are here to answer
All
your
of us
questions.
together.
Yeah.
We'll reply.
Yeah, and I'm there about half of my time. Actually, I go back the next week, you know, and I mean, let me tell you something about Haiti. It's a beautiful place, and it's unbelievable culture and the heritage and the food, and you know, just a very addictive kind of place. Just no question about it. And also that the, you know, things we do, we just can impact so much. We can change the whole course of history almost. So that's why that it's unbelievably worthwhile experience. I'm sure Frankie agree with that. You know, and so anyone want to come out for like a month or so, let us know. Okay, it'll be nice. We have a whole bunch of beaches in jungle there.
Talk
Right.
to me, talk to Frankie.
Yeah. All right,
Thank you
guys.
so much.
All right. Merci.
Very much.
Everyone.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you, everybody.
See you guys.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Very nice.